Welcome to this live webinar on this Tuesday morning, afternoon, and evening, depending on which time zone you are from. I'm Jardin, and I'm here to give us a DAO DAO walkthrough. DAO DAO will be launched publicly. The beta will be publicly launched tomorrow at 12 p.m. Pacific time, which I think is around 3 p.m. Eastern time, and depending on where you are in the world, it's 7 p.m. UTC, if I'm not mistaken. It's very difficult to keep up with these time zones. Over the past few days, I've been working very hard to understand not only how DAO DAO works, but DAOs in general. So I've been actually sitting with a couple of financial people trying to get my head around how the tokenomics could work, how bonding curves work, how the market cap works. And while I still have a lot to learn, I do feel that I'm in a stronger position than what I was. And with the launch happening tomorrow, I just feel like it's a great time to have a discussion with everyone and give everyone sort of like an overview of the experience that I've had trying to set up my DAOs and then try and answer some questions that you may have as we go. So I'm going to go to beta.daodao.io, which is the current, which is the URL you need to sort of go to in order to access DAO DAO. We are 1 day, 1 hour and 46 minutes away from it officially launching. I need actually the HODL key. And what I'm going to do here is I'm not allowed to show anyone the HODL key. It's a unique key for every individual person. So here we go. So now that I've passed the key, I can now officially enter the DAO DAO. And you'll see this is the homepage. We've got the countdown timer on top, which is very cool. And you've got a couple of things happening over here. So it's advertising some cool stuff over here. These are the cryptos that you will be able to actually use in order to purchase DAO coins. These are some of the featured DAOs that are running. Supernovas and Overcloud are doing fantastic. These two are always jumping around, so they always swapping spaces between first and second. It's very exciting. And when I checked probably about an hour ago, Supernovas was on top, and they just keep bouncing around. So this is very exciting. I'd love to see both these projects just fly through. And we can also then see there's a bunch of other just trending DAOs that are currently running at this time. Alton Base is over there. DeSo Ninja, Kanshi, big fan, and yeah, just a few others that I still have to go in and go and see what's going on. What we can do is we can actually go to the Discover. So that you'll see like this over here is trending, and these are just posts that somehow reflect DAO DAO, which is fine. You can also go and see this directly via DSocial World or Diamond App or Overcloud. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to click on Discover, and Discover is going to give us a more in-depth view of some of the DAOs that have been created. And we can then go and sort. So we can see once again Overcloud Supernovas, and we sort them by the total raise, but we can obviously go and choose which ones we do want to sort by. And we can now see a more in-depth view of some of the DAOs that have been created versus what the trending one has shown. And mine is here somewhere. There's Sean Slater. There's Web3 Simplified. There's me. All right. So I'm there, and it's looking good so far. That's quite a big jump. So, but I'm nowhere near these lovely people that are sitting here on top. But time will tell. All right, so now I want to show everyone what it's like to actually try and start your DAO, because Nader released a great 40-minute video that gave us like a deep dive into how DAO DAO works, and he did a great job over there. I felt like I could still do this webinar today because I could offer a different perspective on how the DAO DAO is going and the experience that I received. And maybe I can point out a couple of things that he may have bypassed or just didn't mention on his side. Things that I feel like users might jump into and struggle with. So let's go. I want to start my DAO, but you'll notice I'm not logged in or anything. I'm an anonymous user as far as this DAO DAO is concerned. Even though I provided the HODL key, I'm an anonymous user. So now if I want to go and say, start my DAO, and I'm going to go and log in with an account that should exist. Okay, so now it's going to ask an email address. So it's not showing the account that I've logged in. I'm just going to provide you can reuse your same email address. You don't have to worry about now going and creating new email addresses. They really don't mind. You can use the same one. So you notice I've created a username called DeSo Bidlers. Okay, so you know how you get HODL and you get Bidler. And a bidler is actually someone who builds on Web3. It's someone who promotes and actually designs solutions on Web3 and blockchain technology. So instead of calling the DeSo builders, I call the DeSo bidlers, right? So that's cool. That's an actual account. So if I have to go to diamondapp.com and log out of my Bleeding Code account, there we go. So there's DeSo bidlers, and this is an actual account. It's not really doing anything. And you'll see that Cocky Cloud gave me, it's a brand new account. I literally opened it up not too long ago. So I've got this DeSo bidlers. It's accessing DAO DAO for the first time. It's literally done nothing. And I think this is the question, because when you come into DAO and now you've logged in with your DAO profile, they're defaulting it to your account. However, they're allowing you to go and change the username that you want to use on DAO profile. And this is probably one of the first things that I struggled with when I was now creating my DAOs is, what should I use? Should I default it, or should I go and maybe change it? So let's call it DeSo Bidlers DAO. Now it's telling me it's available, so that's fantastic. This is a new DAO. Okay, so there's our tagline. Now, if I click on continue, now it's asking for a cover image for the DAO and a description. And we're just going to keep it at this. I don't have to worry about much. This supports Markdown, by the way. So if you see here, this is very boring. But because I know Markdown, I can go and add this and convert it into a header. Look at that. Okay, very cool. You can do tables and all kinds of cool things now that it supports Markdown. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to continue. And you have a choice to go and configure your funding details, but they allow you to just move forward, do the funding details later on, okay? And I suggest going forward with it because nothing's stopping you. They will just go and implement the defaults, which is great. So I'm going to click on change the world. It's going to ask me to perform some sort of transaction over here. I'm going to click on approve. Hopefully I got enough because I only have 0.01 DeSo in this Bidlers account, but it seems to have done the job. And this is what it looks like. So now I've gone and created the DeSo Bidlers DAO. This is where things get fun because now I've created a new account called DeSo's Bidlers DAO. Even though I have a DeSo Bidlers over here, if I click on add account, look at that. It's gone and renamed it. That's what it's gone and done. It's gone and renamed it. Ha! Okay, there we go. Okay, it's gone and renamed it, people. Very, very important. Okay, so if we go back over here, we actually went and renamed DeSo Bidlers to DeSo Bidlers DAO, which is not what I wanted to do. Now, I know how to go and change this. So check this out. Click on the settings menu, and we can go and change it back to DeSo Bidlers. Okay, that's bad news. All right, so let's go here. This is why we're doing a walkthrough. So let's go and edit this, and now let's go and do that. That's a pretty serious bug because you've overridden your current username to become a new username. So what's the lesson that I want everyone just to learn before we move forward is that when you go and start your DAO and you go and log in with your account, do not go and rename the user profile to what I did as an example, because you are actually renaming your existing account, and for some reason it still thinks that the old account exists. So there's a big conflict over there. That's a big problem because now I've just lost my DeSo Bidlers user account, which I had intentions for. So now I got to settle for DeSo Bidlers DAO. I can't even use DeSo builders because I knew that was taken in the first place. Okay, so that was a slap in the face, and I suppose I just got to live with that. So we've got that over there. I can just save changes, and I'm going to leave it at that and lick my wounds and move forward. Now that we've got our profile, so this DeSo Bidlers DAO, I can now go to my profile. Now, this is your actual DeSo account, right? And all they're doing is they're giving you a reflection of this account. So if you change something here, it's like changing it over here in Diamond App or DeSo World. When you get to the next one, which is your project details, this is where things are more specific to your DAO DAO project. So here's where you can go and add an actual image, and where you can go provide a display name. So here I can go and say DeSo Bidlers DAO. I don't need to provide any of this information, but I would say over here, this is the official DeSo Bidlers DAO I figure this will be a cool DAO because all the developers that are actually designing solutions and building tools or building apps on the DeSo blockchain, we could actually come together, form a DAO, work on our strengths. Maybe I'm strong at this and maybe they can do that great, and rather work together on these projects versus individually. And if we're lucky, we can maybe get a little bit of fundraising now and then. So I figure this could be a good DAO. And this will be a great example for today's discussion because this DAO will represent both decentralized governance as well as fundraising. So I'll click on save changes because now I've officially saved the profile details that are relevant to my DAO. And what just happened? Oh, okay. So this is a terrible error that I hope that they change soon enough. But what they basically said was because I only had 0.01 DeSo in my Bitless account, I didn't have enough to perform this transaction. All right, so I've just sent 0.1 DeSo for one of my other accounts, and I can go, yeah, close this. And if I try this again, click on save changes. And this is important. It's actually great that everyone's seen this because this is some of the frustrations that you're going to face on your side. So if I click on approve, it should go through because I have a little bit more funding in my DeSo Bitless profile. There we go. All good. Now we go to the fun part, fundraising details. Because if I click on my DAO, by the way, you can only have one DAO per account. Very important, okay? You can't have one account and go to the DeSo homepage and click on start your DAO to try and choose another one. It's going to come back and prompt you and say, listen, the account you selected already has a DAO round, okay? So it will tell you to go to that DAO. So that's one thing just to keep in mind is that one user account, one DAO. Now that we're in our DAO, we can see there's the name of the DAO that we changed. That's great. But you can see also there's the user account that is in control of this DAO. This is what I added earlier on. And this is where you'll have the entire description of how your DAO functions. And really, this is the meat and potatoes of your DAO. It's extremely important that this is where you add your full sales pitch on how your DAO will work, how the tokenomics will work, how royalties will be returned, maybe to some of the DAO coin holders. This is where everything goes. If I go here to the homepage and I go to Discover and I just search for Web3 Simplified, which is my DAO, and we go inside there, we'll see just on mine, all I'm trying to do is I'm just trying to raise some funds to publish some DeSo content. And you can see already that the description section, I'm using Markdown. Remember, Markdown is like rich text that allows you to add rich text to the description instead of just plain text. And you can see over here, I've provided a summary as well as what I intend for round one. And I'll get to the rounds shortly. And if I go more, you'll see I've got links over here. I've got images. I've got the required funding and time estimates, the royalty incentives, because anyone who invests in my Web3 Simplified DAO, they actually get a 10% royalty return whenever revenue is generated from the Web3 Simplified content that goes out there on all the social media channels. So there's something in it. Suddenly, it's no longer a donation for the people that have invested on my DAO. It's a physical investment. And this is stuff that you need to provide full transparency on when you're thinking about your projects. All right. So that's the very important part of the description. And if you really want to see hardcore description, go to Supernovas because they just take it to an insane level. If I go here to Supernovas and I go and see all of this, this is everything that they've got over here to explain all the rounds that they plan on having. They've already done pre-sale. They're doing early bird now. This is the depth that they go into. And then they've still got links to go to their memorandum, which is an entire book of information as well as a live app. So when you launch in a DAO and it's based on a project that you want to work on and possibly raise funds for, you need to keep these things in mind. You can't just come in and say, like what we did over here, this is an official Bitless DAO. It's not going to work. You got to provide a little bit more information. Your volume, what is this actually? Another tip. Refresh the page. Okay, if something doesn't look right, refresh the page. Don't panic. Okay, so now you see after I refresh that, Supernova's chart went away. And now we can see, because there's an active round, remember what we did is when we created the account, we didn't set up the funds or the round directly there. We said, listen, just start our adventure. And what happened was DAO DAO said, okay, I'm going to go in with the basics. I'm going to say that you're probably going to want a round to be active so that people can start buying your coin. You're probably going to have it last for maybe a period of 30 days, and we can see the countdown timer over here. You're probably going to set the default price of your coin to something that we would suggest. And they went and populated all those default values, which is brilliant because it allows a lot of people to jump in and get going. It's really exciting. But obviously, you would, if you know what you're doing, you're going to come in and sort of add a little bit more customizations to this, which I will get to now, by the way. It's here in the settings. But if we go over here, we'll see that because we have an active round, very important, there has to be an active round for people to buy coins. If there's no active round or if the round is on pause, no one will be able to buy your DAO coins. They will have to go and trade coins if there are any to be traded via the exchange. Now we do have an active round, and we can see round 1 currently open. Nothing has been raised so far. There's no market cap. There's really nothing going on. The great news is that you can go and connect your MetaMask account. So you can see I've got MetaMask running, and I would be able to enter my password, link my MetaMask account, and I could transfer funds from my MetaMask to DeSo. And what happens is it will actually go and send it to a specific Ethereum address that DeSo themselves handle, and they will be able to convert it into DeSo coins, and finally you'll be able to claim it and use it. So even though they are allowing you to purchase DAO coins using Ethereum, Bitcoin, Solana, even fiat currencies or Doge, it gets converted into DeSo. But for most of us, we would land up going to DeSo because we've got DeSo coins, and we can then go and transfer our DeSo coins. So there we go. I've got 1.35 USD, and I can go and contribute to this DAO by saying, listen, $0.5. I can now go and see it will give me 36.4 DeSo Builder DAO coins. And why is that? And it shows you a percentage of the total supply. I'll explain what's happening there shortly. But yes, I get 36 coins. And there's a few coins that actually goes to the owner, and it comes back to this reserve rate, which is very similar to the founder's rate. So a little bit of how to contribute while there's a round open. Now, before we get into a little bit more of what's going on over here, let's first understand the mechanics of what's running our DAO before we see how DAO works from a user perspective. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to the settings icon, and we've seen the profile, we've seen the project details. It's just some metadata that represents your project. But now we're going to go to fundraising details. So I'm going to go over here, and we can see here is your link to your DAO. So that's nice, but it's pretty much this on top. Oh no, sorry, it's not that. Leave that alone. Then we can go and see what is the goal. What do we want to raise for this round? Okay, now you'll notice by default, there's no goal. It's 0. But because allow overflow is enabled, it means that people can contribute, and just throw money at purchasing your DAO coins until such a time as you either decide to finalize or refund. Okay, so finalize means I now close the round. Whatever fundraising has occurred, it will stop right there. I will finalize the round. It will close the round. I physically will receive those monies, and it will belong to me to use however I want to use it. And users will be able to trade if there are any of your coins being traded at that time, but they will not be able to purchase. Because remember, when you buy coins, when the round is open and you purchase coins, then your DAO is actually minting coins. It's creating money. It's creating tokens. Whereas when it's trading, you're actually swapping. Okay, so it's important to understand the difference between the two, and I apologize if I confused that earlier on. Once you finalize, you will not be able to create or purchase new coins. You will have to go and trade it. If you click on refund, this would happen if you try to go for a project that just did not turn out and you cannot maybe commit to the promises you have made. Then you have this refund button over here that will just take everyone's money that they had invested and just sends it back to them. Now, the question is, where does that money go if I come in? Let's say that Alex comes in and he says, listen, John, I am purchasing $20 of your Bidler's coins. Great. So you get like whatever, 100 coins, and the $20, where does that go? Does that come to me immediately? And the answer is no. it doesn't come to me immediately. It goes into an escrow account. It's like a middleman that holds the monies, but it doesn't give it to me until I finalize or until the fundraising has met its target. Okay, it all depends on how you set up the DAO. But this is what's so important, because if the project doesn't go forward properly, then that is when you can refund and then they get their money back. So the escrow account, the middleman account, is extremely important when it comes to the DAO. I think it's actually quite valuable, because I can't grab that money until I decide to finalize it. And until I finalize it, you always manually have the option. As a user, not only can I, as a DAO owner, refund, you actually, as a user, can go and say, listen, while this round is running, I'd like to refund my money. Okay, so that's an option also to you as a user. But once I finalize the round, it goes out of escrow, it goes to me as a DAO owner, and now you don't have the option anymore to refund that money. You now own the coins, and I get the money in order to pursue the project. If we go here, you can also pause a funding round. So you're not physically refunding, closing it, or finalizing and sending the money your way. You are more putting it in limbo and saying, listen, something very serious was overlooked. We need to pause this round. No more purchasing of coins, but we are not canceling anything. Relax. Okay, so that's kind of what you're saying when you pause this round. A good question is, can someone still refund? I assume that they can still say, listen, I want my money back. I don't like the fact that you're pausing the round. But I am assuming that right now. There's a lot for me to learn still. But pausing at least says, listen, for now, for today, I'm pausing it. And then tomorrow you can just switch it off again and then save it at the bottom. And it is once again active. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go and say the fundraising goal is $100. I am not going to allow overflow. So remember, overflow means, let's say someone came in and said, John, I want to give you $110. You're worth it. If this was switched off, the transaction would fail because the DAO says, I only want $100. Make sense? So I only want $100. If they tried to give me $110, it would fail until such a time as they only say 90 or 80 or the full $100 amount. And remember, everything is measured in DeSo. So the fact that we have $100 and the fact that we're trying to do things with dollars over here is just to make it easy for people to understand what is the actual monetary amount that I'm investing. But ultimately, at the end of the day, what you're doing is you're investing DeSo. So just always keep that in the back of your mind. I went into Sean Slater's DAO, and he was saying, listen, I'm $2 away from closing this, from reaching my goal. And I said, okay, Sean, I'm going to give you those $2. But what happened was, it wasn't $2, it was $1.96. And because I tried to give him $2, he had this switched off and it failed. But it's quite aggressive, okay? So if you're creating your own DAO, I have to recommend leave this on and just be very mindful about once the target is reached. I'd rather have people run over slightly and then you go and finalize than them just being told the transaction failed. Because that's what happens right now. The transaction failed. And that's enough to put anyone off. I almost thought to myself when I tried to give Sean the $2, no man, something's wrong over here. Sorry, Sean, something's wrong. I'll try again tomorrow. But I persisted and I figured out what was wrong. For your DAOs, be careful of that, because any other user would have said, listen, there's problems over here. I can't even give you $2 when I want to give you $2. I'm walking away. Allow overflow and rather manually manage the finalization of the round is my recommendation. The default coin price is what gets generated. So don't worry again about the dollar. What they're saying is that the default coin price, unless you state otherwise, is 0.001 DeSo. You can go and change this. You can say, listen, I want it to be 0.1 DeSo, which will be the equivalent to $1.24. So you can go and set that as your default coin price, or like they have it over there, 0.001 DeSo. Here is where you can change the start and end date. So if you wanted it to only be a week instead of the default month. The reserve rate. Okay, this is very similar to the founder's rate. Okay, very, very similar. So what's happening over here is, remember when someone purchases your creator coin on DeSo and you set a founder rate of 10%. So they purchase $10. You get $1. They only purchase $9 worth of your DeSo. So what happens is, in this case, when they try to purchase $10 of your DAO coin, it works exactly the same. They end up purchasing $9 of your DAO coin, and $1 goes to you as a creator of the DAO. Very, very similar to the founder's rate. So keep this in mind. They defaulting it to 10%, but just keep in mind it might put someone off. If they're coming in to invest in your DAO, and now suddenly they wanted to say, listen, John, I'm gonna contribute $10 to your DAO. I want to see it succeed. And then suddenly they only get $9 of coins. That could be enough to put people off. At the very least, maybe at least change it to 5%. I mean, that's what Supernovas and them did as well. I went and checked up on their profile and they set the reserve rate to $5. So I would probably recommend doing something similar. The referral bonus, this is the percentage that your DAO referrers will receive. So you get a referral link. There it is. You can click on that and you can copy on that and you can send it out and post. And if people click on that link and they join and purchase the DAO coins, you receive a 2.5% of the, I think it's the amount raised, you receive 2.5% of that. If we have to go quickly to my DAO now, Web3 Simplified. So you'll see I'm logged in here as Web3 Simplified. I'm going to go to my DAO. Mr. Music, I think it's Mr. Music who has done a fantastic job already. So if I go down, oh, by the way, where do I go and see who's advocating my DAO? If I scroll all the way down to the bottom, you get the community section, which is where you can see the feed as well as proposals. This is where people can vote, by the way. And you get your holders, which are called hodlers, hold on for dear life. And you can see here's everyone who's purchased my DAO coins. But advocates, look at this, Mr. Music, who is the second highest DAO coin holder at the moment, has already generated 5 referrals and has earned himself $2. So the $2 is, I think it's based on the market cap or something like that. I'm not too sure. They don't give too much insight into how the 2.5% is generated. But from 5 referrals, he's generated $2 already. Now, does he get that $2 immediately? No. Once the round is finalized, the money gets given to me as a DAO owner, but then the $2 of that money goes straight to Mr. Music because of the referrals that he created. Make sense? Now we understand what the referral bonus is. It's default to 2.5. I see Supernovas has got theirs at 2.5 as well, but that's obviously something that you can change. And just remember, it is the percentage that will be deducted from the amount that gets given to you when you finalize, and that will get given to the people who have referred. Okay, so I think it gets shared between everyone. To be very honest, I don't know. I have to see how that works. Because right now only Mr. Music has done referrals. So it's difficult for me to wage and there's not much insight into this, or not that I can see. Set privacy is simple. If you switch this on and you go provide a code, all that means is that for someone to access your DAO, they will need that code. Until they have that code, they won't be able to do anything in your DAO. It's really that simple. This is important. This creates a bonding curve with your DAO coin. So you'll see over here, by default, it says, for every 100 DeSo invested in your DAO, the price per coin will increase by 1%. Now, this is another interesting thing that's happening over here because Nader in his video, he somehow said that the 1% is already included within the first 1,000 or first 100 DeSos that you're sort of purchasing. Although the way I'm seeing it is that it only increases after the 100 DeSos have been invested, so that the next 100 DeSos now will come in a new amount. So that's what I assume. That's what I see happening with my Web3 Simplified DAO. But Nader's description in his video tutorials threw me off a little bit there, so I got to sort of like let it be. I won't play around too much with this, but I would say what I love is that you've got the flexibility to go and change how the bonding curve will work for your particular DAO coin. Terms and conditions, for the most part, the DAO owner is protected. So I think for someone who actually wants to invest in a DAO, go and read this and make sure that you're comfortable with that. You can go and create. So this is the default terms and conditions that they've generated, and that's available for everyone. But you can go and override the URL over here to create your own terms and conditions. So for the more advanced, I haven't checked over DeSo. I suspect that they went and maybe did something a little bit more advanced. And then finally, you got the name of the round. So you can just go and say, this is my first round. Click on Save Changes, and off you go. So that's how you go and manage the fundraising. And that's exactly what I did with Web3 Simplified. Is I want to raise $500 to release the next video. The reserve rate I dropped to 5%. The referral bonus I kept at 2.5. The increase I left alone. So I'm actually using a lot of the defaults. I'm using the terms and conditions that they've set. And here's the round name that I published. One or two final things. What I'm trying to show you is kind of what Nader didn't show in his video. That's what I'm trying to do over here. So between his instruction and between my instruction, you'll kind of get a much bigger picture of what it's like to work through the DAO. So notifications is just if you don't want to be emailed whenever something happens. So for example, when the DAO is finalized or when it's reset or when something occurs, usually you get sent an email just so that you as a DAO coin holder will be kept up to date with everything. Distributions is not even active yet, but this is where you will be able to maybe take revenue that has come in as a result of the project that you're working on and distribute it back to the DAO coin holders. And according to Nader, there's going to be a couple of options available to us over here. And then proposals is easy. Proposals is just like a voting system. It's like a poll, and you can choose whether you want that functionality or not in your DAO. Do you want others to be able to actually create polls so that the voting can occur? And if you do, what is the voting threshold? In other words, how many coins should a voter have in order to create a poll? Okay, so when they say a proposal, like it's a poll. And that's what they're saying over here. You got to at least have how many coins in order to create a poll. Otherwise, you're going to just land up giving everyone who has one coin the ability to go and create polls. But that's if you want them to. Now, the rest of the functionality, like the trade and the wallet, all of that is shown on Nader's page.
Quick question. So I noticed a lot of people have created DAOs for themselves. And I understand why you would want a DAO for a project or for, just stuff like that to help fund efforts. But why would somebody want one specifically for themselves versus just they've already got their DeSo creator coin?
You know what? The only reason that I can think of that because the DAO DAO functionality was very appealing to me as well, because now you sort of have a little bit of a better chance creating a community with DAO DAO than what you would with your creator coin. Your creator coin obviously represents liquidity, right? I mean, if I go and put money into your creator coin, I can still go and take it out. Whereas in the DAO, it's a little bit more aggressive. If I put money into a DAO, that money goes to you, I lose it, and I get coins in return. So it begs a good question that why would I go and create a DAO just for more? Because I have my Jardin account, and I've got to be careful because remember earlier on I said one account, one DAO. And I'm sitting over here saying, what is my Jardin account? Is there going to be a DAO? Do I create one for Jardin? What does that represent? Is it me as a content creator? And again, so it is a good question, Jody, but I think a lot of people are just, because there's hundreds of DAOs that have been created, and I think the very fact that you can so easily just create a DAO if you have a DeSo account is why so many DAOs exist for people.
Hey, John, I just want to say thanks for everything that you're doing. I really appreciate it. The conversation is great, and your level of explanation is awesome. So like I said, I can't wait to go back and listen to the replay. And I just want to say thank you because I know it's a lot of work and, you're figuring it out and understanding it better so that you can do it for yourself, but then you're sharing it and you're taking that knowledge and you're sharing it with the community and recording events like this, and just big ups to you because we need this and I just really appreciate it.
That's amazing. Thanks so much, Mechell. I appreciate that.